Hi, my name is Natalie, and Dave, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Dave Marshall, and I'm a stutterer, and um, I am making these videos for two reasons. One is that whenever I have an opportunity to speak about my stuttering, it's therapeutic to me, and more importantly, and less selfishly perhaps, is that I want to help other stutterers out there that could perhaps gain from some of the experiences of what I've gone through.
Great. All right, well, in 1970, Joe Sheehan made a statement which said stuttering is like an iceberg with only a small part above the waterline and a much bigger part below. Up to that time, most mainline SLPs were treating only the part above the waterline, the actual stuttering that you hear.
I think that's on point. I remember, well, I will back up a little bit. Throughout these videos, I am going to be voluntarily stuttering, which is a technique that has helped me and helped many other stutterers. So when you hear me stutter, it's intended to show that a stutter can be a very light, effortless experience. So we're talking about the iceberg. I remember when I started therapy, they asked me what I thought stuttering was, and I said, well, it's prolongations, it's repetitions, and it's blocks. And they said, okay, and they showed me a picture of it in Iceberg, and they said, well, below the waterline, could you write in feelings that you have related to your stuttering? And it was a good exercise because I never really thought of it quite like that. I remember writing things like shame and worry and nervousness and anxiety. They were all, when I looked at the list after I was done writing, I said, wow, that's a lot of negative things that I never really directly associated with my stuttering.
Right. So can you describe what took place to slowly start uncovering that part of your stuttering experience?
Well, I think making that list and realizing it was the first step. And the second step was to be able to think about stuttering even a little bit. Prior to therapy, I just never thought about it. It was something I hid under the rug and often hid it very well. And so we watched videos on YouTube of other people's stuttering, and that was extremely uncomfortable. And all of those emotions that I wrote down on the iceberg page would come to the top quickly. And once I did that a lot in therapy and on my own and listening to podcasts like Stutter Talk, it helped me put those feelings in perspective and even identify that they were even there.
Sure. So, can you describe what the hardest part of therapy was at this point?
At this point, the hardest part of therapy, I remember, was I was asked to make a phone call, an actual phone call, and intentionally stutter on that phone call. And I was told I was doing this a week or two before I had to, so I was losing sleep about it. And when I made that phone call, I intentionally stuttered, and when I got off the phone, there was not a feeling of relief. It was a feeling of anger, and I did not like that experience whatsoever.
Right.
I hated it. And I'm not a very rageful person. I really don't hate anything. So it was a novel feeling that I got. And that when I first started to intentionally stutter, that was the hardest part for me.
Right. So, what one piece of advice would you want to give to a person who's starting this phase and going through this emotional digging through the iceberg?
I would say be willing to let it hurt. Be willing to let it get to you. Be willing to push yourself, and if there's a certain kind of video that you just can't watch because it's too hard, that's the one you need to be watching more.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of surveying that landscape and constantly trying to go after the things that are hardest for you. And that all might sound really tough and terrible, but it doesn't have to be done all at one time. Everyone has their own schedule, their own feelings, but not to be afraid to push yourself, I think would be the biggest tip that I would have.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
Thanks.
you talking.